Hey everybody, Greg Housewirth here with a special Winter Wonderland edition of Greg's Mailbag. Remember me? I'm a board certified family law specialist here in Fort Worth, social media influencer. Once a week I dip into the old mailbag and try to answer a little bit of reader mail. There's a lot of questions you have about family law but are just too embarrassed to ask. So let me help you out. Ooh, look at this. Nice. This is a letter from our friend, Kelly and Keller. She says, "Dear Greg, how much does a family law case cost?" Ooh, Kelly, that's a tough one. You have touched upon one of the great mysteries of the universe. How much does a family law case cost? So let's say, for instance, that I was going to the airport and I wanted to get an Uber. Well, I could open the app, I could pick out my car, I'd know exactly how much it's going to cost. I could figure out whether or not I wanted to add a tip, right, for the Uber driver, and off I go. Unfortunately, Kelly, family law is not quite that easy. It's unregulated, it's a free-for-all. You're going to hear a lot of talk here and there. You can pay $500 for your case, or you can pay $50,000 for your case. So let me try to break it down. First things first, Kelly, I want you to think about the bell curve. Remember that from high school, right? So it's really fat here in the top of the curve, and then it starts to tail off towards the end. So when you start calling around and talking to lawyers, I want you to stick probably in the middle of that bell curve, because lawyers are going to start talking to you about, like, well, what's the retainer? How much does it cost to get started on the case, okay? So some lawyers are way out at the high end, and, well, Kelly, if you're a actress or a professional athlete, then, well, maybe you might need that much lawyering, okay? Now, if you're down here at the bargain basement end of things, well, remember, those lawyers are entitled to make a profit, and they will make a profit, and you're not going to pay very much, and you're not going to get very much. All right? They've got a numbers game going, so don't expect anything extraordinary. Don't expect personal attention. Just expect to be a part of their numbers game. So back to the bell curve. Keep it here in the middle. Call, check around. It'll become apparent to you kind of where you need to be. Now, when we talk about attorney pricing, we need to break it down into two phases. Number one, what's the retainer you're going to pay the attorney, okay? Number two is, what's the ultimate cost of the case? Retainer and total cost are two different things. Number one, the retainer. A retainer is an advance payment of money to be applied towards the legal fees that are going to be incurred by the attorney in representing you in your case. All right? Let me give you an example. If I took my car to the shop, I don't have to pay the mechanic right off, right? Here's the keys, fix my car. So why don't I have to pay the mechanic? I don't have to pay the mechanic because he or she has my car. He or she has collateral. So when I come back to pick up the car, I have to pay, or I don't get my car, right? They have a mechanic's lien on the car. A lawyer doesn't have collateral. Okay, so that retainer fee is an assurance to the lawyer that when work is getting done on your case, that the lawyer is being compensated for his time, energy, advice in representing you. Now, as work is done on your case, Kelly, the lawyer is going to bill for his or her time. Pretty much all lawyers these days use some type of computerized billing system. They enter their time into the system, and then at the end of the month, you're going to get a statement. That statement is going to show what was your trust account balance when you started out, what work has been done on your case, how long did it take to do the work, and then at the bottom it's going to show the total fees incurred, and it's going to also show what's remaining in your trust account balance. Okay? Another thing to bring up, lawyers bill in increments. Okay, like lawyers will say, well, my fee is $500 an hour. Well, they don't just hit you with a $500 1 hour charge. Most lawyers bill in increments of quarter of an hour or tenth of an hour. So you'll see a lot of time entries, 0.25, 0.10. That's what you'll expect to see on that billing statement. But the point here is that you need to see and you need to keep track of how your money is being spent. You need to keep track of the expenditures. If there's something that doesn't feel right to you, you need to have a conversation with the attorney, okay? Because that attorney is going to expect to be paid, and the attorney typically is going to expect that you keep some money in your client trust account. Next piece of the puzzle is this. How much is the entire case going to cost? That's a difficult question in many cases. Here's what I tell my clients. The cost of a family law case depends on the amount of resistance that we encounter from our opponent in the case. All right? Because why? Because resistance takes time, and time is money. So if you're in a situation where you're going to a lot of depositions, where you're conducting discovery, where you're having multiple hearings, that takes time. So here's where it becomes important for you as the client to start making some decisions, right? About how you want to invest. What do you want to spend your money on? What are the risks and the rewards of the process? And that's where you come back to that conversation with your attorney. Strategize, plan it out, and make good use of your money. Kelly, I hope this was helpful to you. Now you'll have to excuse me. I need a lump of coal.